GM Adrian.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
I
We're
miss
both
you.
smiling for different reasons.
Totally. For the same reason, but different.
So we're going to be talking a lot about Crypto the Game to start with, because I'm a little overwhelmed and obsessed just because. And then we're going to jump into some Farcaster news. And then the next event is going live at noon. So we're going to jump into that. And then we have our guests coming on, Drew Hanlen, NBA skills trainer, and the team from Nouns Cares, who's working with him on a few things with Coinbase and Nouns. And it's going to be a crazy show. Are you ready?
Yeah. Are you asking me?
Yes, I was asking you.
Oh, you're asking the chat. The chat's ready.
I think she's ready. So we're going to go. We'll be back in 40 seconds. Welcome to GM Farcaster, bringing you everything from breaking news to spicy memes to the deep lore shaping this vibrant digital community. More than just a show, GM Farcaster is your digital third space where the community connects, the stories unfold, and the culture thrives. Whether you're a daily caster or just dropping by, we've got the latest buzz to keep you plugged in. So grab your coffee and let's dive in with your hosts, Nounish Prof and Adrian, for another episode of GM Farcaster. GM Farcaster. It is Friday, March 14th. A little freaked out because I have some tax things I need to get done. And you are here with Nounish Prof and Adrian for, I'm not even going to say a time, because for some Farcaster news to start your day. I'm skipping the 29 minutes because it's not going to happen today. Okay, so very excited. We've had some things happening with Crypto the Game. We've both been playing. We had been. So this happened yesterday. Two things happened yesterday. First was a swap. So what happened was Dylan was like, you're switching tribes. Go find out. And you logged in at noon and you were on a different tribe. And I got moved from orange to aqua, and you got moved from blue to which one?
Blue to orange.
Blue to orange.
Yes.
Oh, I didn't even realize that. I don't know why I thought you were gold. I did know that, but I forgot. So then there was an immunity challenge, and I lost my freaking mind trying to find this immunity idol. Because it ended up that it was hidden on the site. And if you just clicked in the right place at the right time, you would find it. So this is the example of where it is. And you had to click and you would find it. And then it would say you found the hidden immunity. I went down so many rabbit holes before, I thought it was a click thing, tried that, nothing worked. And then I was like, okay, maybe it's something else. And then there was somebody who found it really fast. And that was the guy listed first, Matthews. So I went down trying to track his wallet to see if I could figure out what he did. No luck. And then I was like, we just swapped tribes. Maybe it's a swap. So I go on to Uniswap. Uniswap is sponsoring Crypto the Game. I go into Unichain. I'm like, maybe I need to swap some ETH to Unichain, which I had already done anyway. But I was like, oh, maybe that's it. And maybe it'll trigger something. No. And then me and a whole bunch of other idiots were in the chat, just saying words to see if it would trigger something. It was craziness. And so finally I'm like, can somebody else on this tribe just find this so I can stop looking, please? And somebody did. So yeah. I mean, I literally knew. And then I had people send me here's where it is. Here's a map. I couldn't find it.
That's what I was going to ask you in the immunity challenges. Are you finding, is there a collaboration or
not
is
at
it
first? It was everyone was just kind of going, and I was just going on my own, just trying to find it. And then somebody sent me something and I was like, oh, let me see. I said, I don't know if mine's even still available, but I'd love to be able to figure it out. And I still couldn't figure it out. So I'm just dumb. I'm just dumb. So that happened. And then there was then there was a vote. And so yesterday there was no other challenge. It was just a vote, and that was utter chaos. But it was fun, and I had a blast, and I made it through, which was I was nervous. I was really nervous. I came
And
from a
this
very
vote,
strong
right, there was no
tribe.
challenge. There was
Yeah,
no challenge, right? So it's
no.
just pure politicking.
Pure, like, did you connect? Every single new tribe, the new version of the tribe had different ways of figuring out who they were voting off. And
Right.
I heard one tribe was like, if you didn't get in the Telegram chat by 12:30, we're voting you out. My tribe was really focusing on who's inactive, who's not really playing, and I thought that was the right approach. What did your tribe do? Why did you get and Esther
I
Crypto was
bowed
talking
out
too, right? Oh, you did? Did you just say, "I'm out"?
because I did not want
Yeah.
I just so, Orange Tribe created a Telegram chat and token gated it with Collab Land,
Oh.
and you know what? That was just a little too much friction for me, and I was out. I was just like, "Look, here's the deal. I feel bad because I was gifted a entry token. I wanted to play. I had so much fun. You really need to
Yeah.
literally
You
stop
need
your
to want it. You need to want it.
You have to, 1, clear your calendar for 2 weeks. Tell your friends and family that you will not okay, the night before, I was at my kids' dinner for, like, a sports team end of
Oh
season
my god.
thing,
That's funny.
texting under the table in a Telegram group chat about the vote, ran to the bathroom with my phone to put my vote in. I thought I was gonna be home by 8. Anyway, eh, eh, I didn't have the heart. I just I didn't have it
Okay.
in me to, like, keep so once I was
That
like I was in meetings yesterday, and it was like, "Join this Telegram." I'm like, "Sure," and then it was like, "Connect to Collab Land," and I was like, "Nope,
no.
have fun."
So that was exactly what I thought happened. I forgot about the collab land thing. I did hear I heard some tribes were doing that, but I didn't know it was yours. Um, but I figured what happened was I'm like, either she didn't find her telegram in time, she was like just not didn't have time to like do
Yeah,
anything and just was like, I'm fine.
and listen, shout out
Peace.
Farcaster.
Yeah.
There's, like, Farcaster, there are people looking out for you. People were
Yeah.
pinging me to ask why I wasn't there, trying to
Yeah.
so, love you all. By the way, here's some other advice I have for people for playing in future games. I would I wish I had created a new wallet to play with.
Mm. Then you wouldn't have
Um,
cared. Then you wouldn't have cared about the collab land stuff or
yeah, like,
weird
it's just
things. Yeah.
when things are going fast,
Mhm.
strangers are sending you links
Yep.
online.
Yep.
I don't wanna just connect. I'm
Yeah.
sure it's fine, whatever, but it's just
Yeah.
when you're going fast and you're not paying attention, mistakes can happen,
Absolutely.
and that's what did me in. I was like, "You know what? It's just like, this is one of my
Yeah.
main wallets, and I don't wanna." I don't like, I tried actually sending it to a different wallet, and I was like I did actually take 1 second to try to do this, and I was like, "Let me send it to a different wallet," and it didn't
And
work.
you're just like, "No, okay, forget it." Um, Valid. And that would have been the smart thing to do too, is to just even with like a sub ENS domain or something, like
Just
CTG dot now. So it's me. I'm not trying to hide, but it's in
right.
a fresh wallet. So I don't, yeah. So that's what happened with Hayden. So Hayden Adams got voted out, Uniswap. Um, And it was really because he did not have time. Like
Mhm.
he was not around and he was on my tribe, both my tribes. And in the first tribe, we kept pinging him and and he was doing the best he could. But there was a moment it was like, you can grab this link. And he's like, nah. It's like, nah. And so I was like, thank you. I kind of appreciate that upset. Like, we appreciate that actually from you. That's good to know. So I get that. That makes a lot of sense. And I think that is what I would do next time as well. Um, you do have a chance for Resurrection Island.
Nope, not gonna do that. I have a weekend. I have
You
a
all have
life.
more.
I
You
can't.
guys all have more.
So,
You have more chance to win now if you're on
by the
Resurrection
way,
Island.
if someone wants my Resurrection Island attempt, and
Mm,
although I couldn't transfer it yesterday, so I don't know why today will be different, but let me know because I'm happy to gift it. I'm curious about etiquette for
yeah,
bowing out because I've seen a few people like either trying to gift their token to someone who got out or didn't
it
want
doesn't
it.
work out
Do you
well.
and
Yeah, so somebody
Yeah, do
did
you
that
announce?
tribe. They announced it. They said that they gave it to this person. That person was voted out
Right,
last night.
which is
They were like,
and
no.
by the way, I did have a
No.
thought. I
I was
did
like,
have a thought
geez, that was rough. Yeah.
that could I organize a coup, a side chat without being in the main Telegram chat just for fun, just
Yeah,
to
you
be
could've.
like
But it
because
would take work. Yeah, you could have. Yeah,
yeah, but that's fun work.
yeah, you could have. There's
Anyway,
lots of approaches.
I just thought
One
it'd be
thing
so much more fun to cheer
one
you
thing I want to
on.
tell you though is once you're totally off, you're still a jury member. So you might want to hang on to your token because what if
Okay.
it's somebody
Yeah.
like I have no delusions that I'm going to make it to the end, but it could be some, you might want to vote in the final thing. So
Okay.
yeah. I think my understanding is what happens is once you're out, if you're at Resurrection Island, I think you can still sell your token and you can transfer your token. Once you're totally out and you have no chance of getting
Soulbound.
back in, it's soulbound. And then and that's to avoid people buying votes, essentially, like
Mhm.
buying up all the
Are
tokens.
you having the best time?
I'm having the best freaking time. I
Um,
love this. Yesterday was chaos and stress, but it was the first time I felt like I'm like, oh, this feels like Survivor. Like this actually does feel like Survivor. Because of the social game from yesterday was just crazy to like restart. So it's been nuts. Yes, I do. JC, yes. Maybe now you'll have sympathy for cast out players and do away with yoinking. I will never do away with yoinking. That is the one game. I will tell you right now, if you're watching and you want to play, it's going to go live at the end of sometime after FarCon. We're going to launch the next cast out. So sometime in May. Haven't nailed down the date yet, but absolutely one of the first challenges, if not the first challenge, will be yoinking, and you have been warned. So there you go. Look, it's fun. And she's crying already. So yeah, it's been, and I know Yes to Crypto had a little bumpy ride yesterday, but made it through. And there was some people we lost and some friends got out who didn't want to get out.
yeah.
As opposed to you. But I had a blast. So we'll see what happens today. The event, the day is starting at noon. It's going live, and we'll see what happens. I have theories, but I don't know for sure. So I'm just going to keep those theories to myself, but based on some things people have said. So oops. Am I doing tabs? What am I doing? I see what I did. Hold on a moment, please. I'm so off today. Like I'm sharing tabs instead of a whole window.
Are you
Which
getting
is
less sleep this week?
yes, definitely getting less sleep. And it's mostly because I'm like so like way too excited. So the Crypto the Game channel is fantastic. So this is like perfect use case for channels. Like this is what they're for, is these ephemeral moments where it's easy to find people and see what they're posting about the game and follow along. And Dylan's posting in here. So if you're not jumping in here, go check it out. This is a big hint from yesterday during the Boys Club recap show. He did say that he was also inspired by Squid Game. So there you go. So we'll know today, but this is so funny. This was fantastic from Debbie. What should be prerequisites for playing Crypto the Game? Being adept at Google Sheets, ability to keep up with multiple Telegram group chats at once, a computer with greater than 8 gig RAM. What else am I missing? Accurate. I think that's all you need. I really feel like, yes, Crypto the Game sponsored by Google Sheets is really the way to go next time, Dylan, because they have no idea how much goes into the Google Sheets. This is what we think is happening, that there might be a choice that needs to be made. So we'll see what's going to happen. Also, Gayatry and this fantastic site, casterisland.com, that they have created. You can see everybody who's still in. You can see them by tribe, and you can also enter the Fate Pit and decide who you think, which tribe is going to win immunity today. And you can bet, I think you can bet DGen. I'm not sure exactly what happens, but go check it out. Haven't done that yet. I might later. Let me see which tribe I'm on first. So it's going to be really fun. You got some craziness. How's CTG going? Accurate. Sheets the game. Yes. Also accurate. Don't answer that question yet. It's a bad idea. Dylan after launching CTG challenge. Accurate. And there was some other really funny ones. This one, want this on a shirt. I'll be damned if I get taken out by a Google spreadsheet, which I think is so funny. And this, I mean, save Moon Poppy at all costs is what I say. Come on. Like, that's hilarious. So this is how I go to sleep knowing that I've been marked safe tonight. To the haters, I say, bah humbug, bah humbug.
I want to know who took this photo.
I know, right?
And what are they thinking?
What are they thinking? Just
Hey, can you
get
take a picture
there.
of
We're gonna put the
me?
cat. We're gonna put the dogs here. I'm gonna
Just
hold
gonna hold
this.
this. I'm just gonna wear this little sleep gown and a sleep hat with the dogs on my lap and this candle. And you're gonna take a picture. Then I'm gonna post it on this
I
decentralized
really
social
should have made
network.
this my background today, and I just didn't have time. I was way too busy this morning. But that would have been a great background. Keeping an eye on the time. This also, so Oxen had said the last couple of Crypto the Games, everyone disappeared off the site for a week or so. Good opportunity to climb the leaderboard. And I said, I don't think so, Oxen, this time. I don't think it's going to happen. And oh, would you look at that? Dylan holding down the top spot this week due to Crypto the Game. So, and you can see the activity has been crazy. And I'm at number 70, or last time I checked. So Nikki Sapp, get out of my spot. You're in my spot. This from TLDR, watching friends care so much about CTG has finally shown me how non-sports friends must feel about me spending so much time and energy, blood, sweat, and tears on sports teams. And you know what? It's great. I get that they can be having a ton of fun, even though I have zero idea what they're talking about. And I just explained it. It's cast out on steroids. So, and we had bracket game for the first cast out, but we didn't get to do it for the second one. So I'm hoping we get it for this one because that was really fun. All right, we're going to whip through a few more things before noon, and then we're going to have some breaking news probably. This from Dan, this is the big news. Coming soon, we'll be working with developers projects that want to give users airdrops. We'll indicate what the developer is hoping to accomplish with the airdrop. Users that, 1, opt in, 2, do the desired action, use a frame, engage in a channel, etc. We'll start to develop reputation as a good user to offer future airdrops to. Users that opt in receive airdrops. You hear that or no? Just me. I keep turning off the music in Crypto the Game, and it keeps coming on.
All right.
Stay off. It's so funny. Anyway, sorry. Back to this. Users that opt in, wait a minute. Users that opt in receive airdrops and don't do the desired action will develop a reputation as a user to avoid offering airdrops. Ultimately, developers get to decide who to target. The data is permissionless, but I suspect airdrops on Farcaster will start to reward usage. Go forward alignment. First airdrop next week. And then I love this. To be clear, airdrop is from an ecosystem developer building a frame. In other words, not the Merkle team, because as we have said many, many times. But if you're interested in doing something like this, you have a project, reach out to Dan. So very cool. Speaking of all things DeFi, Deployer, who we have to get on here, who we need to get on here. We've been talking about it forever. And I'm like, now he's really too busy. Banker updates. Banker is growing. There's a huge update here. It's a very long thread. Go check it out. It goes into Banker and what they're doing. And one of the things it mentions is he's talking with his legal team. He had this whole idea about using the ham token in doing some staking and rewarding those folks, and he still is planning to do something like that, but had to pivot a little directions for legal issues. So until that has some more clarity. So it's good. It's interesting. It's great to watch these projects grow, and then they might have to take, little steps backwards and get things right. So we see the same thing happening with Clanker, but very cool to see this. So it's amazing. I'm holding some Banker and some other things. This from DWR. Oh, I meant to put that next to that one. How do I improve my chances of getting an airdrop offer? Cast a lot, use frames, transact on chain. The more active you are, the better your chances. Seems. Also, the better your chances of getting on the leaderboard.
So I think what's happening here, and we'll see the first one next week, is, listen, we've already gotten airdrops by being active on Farcaster because permissionless, right? So everyone's got an attached wallet. Any project out there that wants to airdrop can airdrop to active Farcasters. Let's say FIDs under 10,000, people who are active in certain channels. I kind of joke about the FID, but
But
also,
no, there was at N was asking for that. So that was
power
asking
badge
people,
users,
just
for different reasons. So we don't need it. But what is different is that the Merkle team is doing a coordinated kind of like
is helping them.
Ecosystem developers who want to give airdrops, identifying a group of people to do it. And I believe you'll get kind of notified in app as well. So it kind of becomes native to Warpcast. So more on this next week. First one is coming, I think, on Monday.
That'll be interesting. I'm curious who that is. I'm very curious. So that'll be interesting.
Do you know?
I don't. I have two theories.
Okay.
But I do not know. But I'd rather not say them out loud. Just in case I'm completely wrong.
Let's wait till next week.
Let's wait till next week, and then we'll know for sure. But I'm very excited, so we'll be looking for that. Would love to do that as breaking news if whoever is doing the airdrop wants to jump on. We'll make it happen. That would be fun. I don't know who you are, but let's do it. I love this, Adrian, from you. Too out of practice to be a real dev, too much history to be a vibe coder, stuck with an overconfident bot that is wrong half the time and has a boring personality. I'm accepting thoughts and prayers.
So where this came from is Dan was looking for the best vibe coder on Farcaster, and everyone was giving amazing nominations. Mostly Jacob JRF, I think, was the top one. Kecker's up there. And I was like, I'm not a vibe coder. But I also am way too out of practice to be a real dev. So I'm completely stuck in the middle, and it sucks.
Stuck in the middle with my bot.
By the way, update. I know this was 13 hours ago when I casted this update. I spent all morning vibe coding, and it's amazing, actually. Cool. So I can't wait to tell you what I've been working on.
Ooh, this is exciting.
And vibe coding
exciting.
is legit. It's actually quite fun.
Speaking of vibe coding, I don't know if this was vibe coding, but welcome to Warp Slot. Say that carefully.
Yeah.
Spin, it's really that simple. 5 free spins a day, real tokens on base. It's kind of fun. It's just a little slot machine. You get a little tiny bit of crypto. It's fun. But
so it's like the casino.
Slot. Yeah, it's definitely the casino. It's officially the casino.
Why is Warp Slot so hard to say? It's because it ends in a P.
Because you want to, because it can go very easily to slop or slut. So say it carefully. Yeah, I went slut every time, but it could be either.
Some linguist knows why that putting a warp in front of slot makes you say okay.
I don't know, but it's very hard to say otherwise. Love this. Have had a lot more external calls over the last few weeks. Haha, business. Is this marketing? My assorted talking points about Farcaster have seemed to resonate with the people most. Farcaster is Singapore, small population, but high GDP. Every user has a wallet. The algo doesn't downrank links. You can earn money for posting without a big audience. Everything is programmable. It's a decentralized protocol under the hood. So agree. And then
Go ahead. I like it.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. And then this, whoops. This from Dan. Also, my crypto beliefs: Bitcoin is good, Ethereum is good, Solana is good, stable coins are good. Regulatory and infra are no longer major blockers. Major blocker is lack of apps. Need more apps. And you asked, do we have enough podcasts? And he said, no. I disagree. Just kidding. Just kidding. We joke. But speaking of more podcasts, This Week in Farcaster by Splits is now on chain. Never miss what a purple builder ships. So that's now it's not just a newsletter, it's a podcast. There you go. This Week in Farcaster. Go check it out. I haven't checked this out yet. Have you? As a podcast?
No.
I haven't either. So I got to go check that out. Lastly, the big meta right now is this cute little frame by our friend JC4P. Go analyze your profile. Pretty much, I'd say, I don't know, 60, 70% of people I've seen in the Builder-Pragmatist cubicle, as I'm calling it. So,
Cubicle, yeah.
Cubicle. But this is that you were there. I was there.
Everybody.
Brad Q, which I forgot to grab his. He was there. JC4P, also there. Dan, yep. But this was probably the most accurate one I saw.
Do not need to see this in a frame or an image. We know. And God bless
that
you.
was like absolute perfection.
Yeah.
Absolute perfection.
This is Cassie.
This is Cassie, if you don't know.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
There is no builder like Cassie, and there is no one more idealistically aligned and walks the walk and does not just talk the talk of decentralization. So
exactly.
How lucky are we?
How lucky are we? All right. We need to switch gears. Hold on.
Oh, 11:59. You might have.
No, we're good. I have a whole other computer going that's watching that. So
shut up.
I'm not even kidding. I'm not kidding. I have I have a whole other thing going. Hold on. I need a different view of this. Let's put us over there. Yeah. So
I'm still in my
computer going with it just in case I had any issues over here. So I don't miss it. But the upcoming event, we're at the countdown is 0. Here we go. Here we go. Maybe. Is it gonna reload? Let's see. Let's reload it. It's reloading on my other computer. Okay, here we go. The choice. Oh, this is my choice. Okay, so it is what we thought. It's exactly what we thought. So the choice is yours. Return to your original tribe or stay with your new tribe. Decide by 1 p.m. Eastern or you'll stay where you are. So I'm going to do this live. I am confirming this. I'm locking in my choice. I'm going back to my orange tribe. And now I have to announce I'm back. Jeez. I'll do that later. So now I got to come back at 1 p.m. to meet my tribe mates and get ready for today's immunity challenge at 2. We'll see if I made the right decision. I don't know. But if you're in the chat, tell me what's up. Tell me what you're doing. I'm curious. But I'm going to go back to orange. I liked my orange tribe. One thing is I'm curious is if it had to be a certain amount of people for it to change. So we'll see what happens because I have a feeling he's going to want to balance the tribes out. So, and I'm going to stop sharing that because it takes a lot of energy, taking a lot of stuff. So I'm going to just get rid of that for a minute. But yeah, so I'm curious about that. If what's going to happen there, but we'll see. So crazy. I'm sure if I end up staying in my tribe, like if something happens and it's like, oh, not enough people chose to leave. I don't know if that's going to be the case. I guarantee you I'm out tonight. Like if I have to go back to Aqua, I'm dead.
How could you have enemies?
I feel like I made some good connections in Aqua, but I just felt way safer in orange, and I felt more connected in orange. So this is not like a comment on the folks in my new Aqua tribe. They're awesome. There's some folks in there who I would love to, like, if I could be like, hey, why don't you come over to orange with me? I'd take them with me. So yeah, there you go. I'm just doing it live. I'm going back to orange. Yes, to crypto, stay in orange. Moon Poppy, stay in orange. Anybody else who I know, stay in orange. It's actually they're really awesome. Like, they were just super organized, really good vibes. We had one person doing like a daily update using AI of the chat, and it was so funny. And like, I don't know, it was just a good vibe. So I want to go back to the good vibes. And the vibes yesterday were fine. It was chaotic, but it wasn't the fault of the people. It just was chaotic. So I'm going back where I'm comfy. I'm going back to my comfy home. But I'm curious, for the other folks who are in the chat, let us know what your choice was. Yeah. So I'm excited.
Maybe I should check out Resurrection Island and see if they're giving me a choice to come back.
Oh yeah. I think you would probably come back. My guess is, go in and see what happens with you. My guess is you would go. I don't know if you get a choice. I'm curious. Yeah, go find out. Yeah, I'm putting my little things in here. I went back. Okay. Yeah, and I see a lot of people
2 p.m. for the challenge. If you're on Resurrection
you have to do the
Island,
challenge. Yeah. Does it say?
I have a parent-teacher conference at the school this afternoon. What do you think I should do?
I think you should go to the parent-teacher conference.
I guess. Sorry, kid. I gotta be on the island. I'm sure you're doing all right.
Funny. That's really funny. All right, we have our guests coming in. I'm gonna wait till everybody's here. There was a couple more things, so I'm gonna bring those back up really fast. There was a couple more things, and then we'll bring them up. Again, love this. Cassie could not have been more perfect. Then we had this from Phil, because Six had said every MF on Farcaster is a Builder-Pragmatist. Yeah. Yeah. And then Dylan had said he was chaotic good. And I feel like this is a whole other chart that was happening on Twitter. And I was like, you today, sir, you're somewhere in this quadrant. I don't care. I mean, you might just be over the line. I think most of the time you're chaotic good, but yesterday with that swap and today's, Squid Game situation, I'm thinking you're chaotic evil a little bit there. Yeah. Just my opinion. This was very cool. Oh, go ahead.
I'm getting a rumor. I'm getting a Crypto the Game rumor in one of my chats. So I'm in Resurrection Island, but I'm still in some group chats. So I can't give any sources. There's talk that there might be some anti-Farcaster organizers.
I wouldn't be surprised.
This? Yeah. So just
wouldn't surprise me.
We're on GM Farcaster. Is it safe? I'm talking to Farcaster people. Just be aware, and maybe I don't know.
I have a feeling that's coming. I felt like, because we've kind of been a little bit more in the game,
annoying,
and maybe there's also but here's the thing: if you're playing and you're not real active on Farcaster and you're like getting annoyed or whatever, keep in mind there's probably going to be a Farcaster challenge at some point, and you might need us. I'm just saying, we might be useful. I think I'll be very useful. You should probably keep me around till then. That's all I'm saying. Then you can bump me off. If I have to go back to Aqua, they're killing me.
Around. I just assumed you would want to keep people around with podcasts, because I think that is valuable. Like,
of course,
I don't actually know what, but there's something
absolutely valuable. Absolutely valuable.
I guess I could, I could spread propaganda and FUD.
Exactly. So I think you want us. You want us on your team. You need us on your team. Anyway, really quick, 2 more things, and then we're bringing up our guests. Both our guests are here. this was from the Chris, talked with Sheldrake from Addresso about the risks of reusable KYC, the problems with a universal social graph, and why we need to rethink identity in Web3 before we recreate traditional surveillance systems and bureaucracy on chain. So I thought this is just really interesting. This is the Optimism Show. Go check that out. And then lastly, I have to give a little shout out to Bold Leonidas. He kind of hung out for a little bit on Farcaster, and then he went back over to Twitter, and he's gotten, he has a huge following over there. And he's been back. He's been slowly like throwing some things up, and I loved this because he was kind of showing his process with this particular cast, and I just thought it was awesome and just wanted to share it. And Bold, we love you, and I'm glad you're back. So I love seeing your art. And I really love seeing your process. So even more so. So that was really fun. All right. I am going to bring up our guests. We have Frankie from Nouns Cares and Drew Hanlen, who's also working with Nouns Cares, but also is an MBA skills trainer and has worked with, oh, wait a minute. Hold on. Sorry. Forgot. Hold on. Okay, now we're good.
I forgot to bring my NBA gear.
Now we're good. Now we're good. I had
it
it handy. I was just waiting for the right time. I got my Celtics hat. Now we can proceed. And also, Frankie, I don't know if you can tell, but I'm wearing your shirt. This is the shirt that was designed by Frankie that I got at Farcon last year. So I am decked out today for this.
I was going to say, I feel bad that I'm not rocking something to support you now,
Hey, you know what? I was looking for you at ETH Denver. I had a pair of these for you because I saw you rocking the paper ones at at the All-Star game, which was
it was fun. Frankie gave me a pair of those. The crazy thing is, it was in my backpack when I was traveling, and so they broke. Yeah. And I was like, the snap came off the right side.
Yeah.
So and he was like, don't worry. He's like, you can still wear the paper ones. So I rocked the paper ones. I was wearing them.
You rocked them.
And I got not only some good content, but also a lot of good questions from everybody sitting next to me that were like, first off, what are you doing wearing red? Because the two teams weren't wearing red. So they were like, it's not like you're supporting a team.
Right.
It was a definitely an eye opener and something that was really good from a marketing perspective. For sure.
It was fantastic. I mean, it looked great, like looking at the crowd. I forgot to pull a photo. I should have pulled the photo, but it was really fun. And yes, Adrienne wants to make sure everybody understands that she just forgot to wear her Sixers gear. And now you have to see Boston crap now. Yes, you do. Sorry. Hey, we know who's true. I have a shamrock on my hip tattoo. I mean, come on.
You
win. Big time.
Yeah, I'm also Irish. It plays two roles, but I do have I also have green noggles. So there you go. We should get you some of these, but they won't show up as green because my green screen. But they're green. So really excited to have you guys here. Drew, can you tell us a little bit about you? And then I'm going to shift over to Frankie to talk about what you guys are working on with Coinbase and all these different things you have going on in Nouns. So Drew, but can you tell us a little bit about you? And then how did you end up in this like Web3 situation here?
Yeah, so it's actually pretty crazy. So for those you guys have no idea who I am, I started training basketball players around the St. Louis area when I was 17 years old. And one of the first players I ever worked with was Bradley Beal, who went on to becoming an NBA All-Star. So, you think about getting a 13-year-old, helping them develop into an NBA All-Star that's made over $500 million in his career. And the word of mouth spread. I started working with a lot of other local players, one of them being Jason Tatum, who plays on the Celtics and won a championship last year. Sixers, have Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid. Joel won MVP. So been fortunate to work with a lot of the top basketball players in the world. And for years, the Web3 was very interesting to me, and I got pitched idea after idea, especially in the in the world of buying highlights and buying workout footage and doing all this kind of stuff when those were very popular. But I never said yes and jumped in just because I felt like most of them were more rug pull situations, and there wasn't that trust that I needed. And so I recently wrote a self-help book, and, got connected with Frankie and Will, who, did all my marketing for that book. And, once I got to talking to them about what they do outside of the marketing world, they told me about all of the basically the opposite of a rug pull. They're like, hey, Drew, we're building tools to be more transparent in the Web3 space. And, they talked about all the great things that Nouns did. I run an orphanage. My family runs an orphanage in Haiti.
Oh, wow.
He talked about the great work that Nouns Care did. And so it was just a seamless, transition project where we said, you know what, we can build more transparency. We can bring all of these people that are very hungry to get into Web3 that just don't have the trust and don't have the knowledge of it. We can kind of slowly onboard them through really cool projects that bring kind of basketball and Web3 together in one. And so that's how we're here. It's really just about, building cool things that, one, allow people to access the best entrepreneurs, the best basketball players, the best athletes, the best everything, and get behind the scenes with them. And then also, two, being able to give back and actually, do good using Web3 tools. So that's how Frankie and I collided. And now we're trying to bring that world to life.
I love it. I love it. And I'm sure also, I mean, I think the NBA of any major league sports team or sports whatever has been more dialed into Web3 and crypto. I think probably going back to like NBA Top Shots and that. And then, Coinbase being a big sponsor. And I think, crypto.com arena, and there was another arena too, but we won't mention that one. So there's been some like connections there for a while where I'm sure it's like in front of you more than other, large sporting franchise and things like
It's
that.
It's one of those things. I'm telling you, there are so many people that are eager to join the Web3 community. A lot of them are people that, they might be real excited about owning a little bit of Bitcoin just because they're like, okay, I'm kind of part of it. And even myself, I had to get, educated on all the cool things that, that can actually be built on Web3. I think that a lot of sports fans, when they think of Web3, they really just think of crypto kind of, buy when it's low, sell when it's high, and just try to don't be the last one holding the, the hot potato. And once I understood the value of, when Frankie and them broke it down to me and were really like, hey, listen, imagine you own like right now a title to a car. Right now, you have to go and get it validated and you have to get it signed in front of a legal. Imagine if you just could send that over directly, using, crypto using tokens and using kind of everything that's really securely locked. And he's like, we can do all this kind of stuff where people can watch episodes to certain behind the scene things. We can do this also where, we did something where people were able to buy digital access to my self-help book. And then they actually redeemed a physical copy, and that being able to, now, as we have new chapters that come out and as we develop new books and as we develop new webinars, we can be able to give them access to things that I normally didn't have, because if they just normally buy on Amazon, then it's like, okay, purchase and you're gone forever. Right. Well, now you can build a community that actually connects and helps them on, moving forward. So I just love that the power that, on-chain has, when you build out tools that actually allow you to connect with your community and grow with your community and then give them what they want. It allows you to have that conversation, which is, normally not there. Normally it is a push model. And even social media at its best is a lot of times you pushing out content, and you can ask for feedback, but there's not that, connection in that community. And I really do think that some of the tools that we've been developing behind the scenes, some of the tools that have been built, are really going to allow us to do something in the future that people are going to be really, really proud to be a part of.
Very cool. That's really interesting. And I feel like, we've talked about that for a long time, and I think we're getting close to where this makes sense, where artists, creators, authors, people who want to connect with those who are consuming their content, whether that's a musician, whatever, having that way to allow them to plug into something, to token gate different experiences, to be able to say, hey, we just sent you a ticket to this event and it's in your wallet because you have the NFT that you got from the book or whatever, is something that you just can't do in Web 2. You can't 100%. Be like, there's just no way to really do that. So and to know that like they got it because of XYZ. So I think there's just a lot of things there that we haven't even begun to explore.
I also think one of the cool things is, your people that get in early, they can actually experience all these cool things, and then eventually they still have ownership of it. So then, at the end of the day, it's instead of paying for all these events and your most loyal people are just pouring in more and more money, once they get in early, as that, value increases, they're actually having something that they could experience all these things, and for being supportive and for being actually literally for helping you get to the top, then they get to experience some of that in the back end as well, which I think is so cool, because I do have so many people that I'm so appreciative of that have helped me, along the way. And I'm like, just imagine if somebody bought, I wrote my first book, basketball drill book, when I was 17 years old. And I sold 5,000 copies out of my backpack and out of the trunk of my car. And I'm
That's
like,
awesome.
imagine those people that were there and bought that $25 book. Imagine if that book now, had, upped and upped and upped. And now they got to experience all these cool things with me. But then also at the end of the day, they were like, Drew, I'm so glad we invested in you, because now it's worth so much more. I just think that there's so much value. And I think that, we're really scratching the surface. I think the cool thing is with Frankie and I, we've been trying a lot of things and building a lot of things. And some of the things we build and we're like, okay, this is something that probably the world isn't ready for. And there's other things that we're building that we're like, wow, like this is probably a couple years ahead of our time, but like the world is ready for this. And so I'm just really excited. It's been really cool for me educationally, just to really learn about Web3. I was one of those people that was a big doubter and not believer. And now that I've really educated myself, now I'm like, wow, it's amazing.
There's something out there besides just the pump and dump shills. Yeah.
Yes.
For sure. Yeah.
And that's what's so important, is being able to build that trust and build, something that people want to be a part of, instead of, fear, this could be something that, ends up hurting me and costing me in the long run.
Right. And that, that's something I've said since I've been in Web3 for a while, is that the real currency is trust. The real currency in Web3 is trust. Like that's what builds everything else. I love this from Dylan, book access through a Farcaster frame next. That's something to that. If you had something where they're collecting an NFT from the book and then you build a frame that's token gated, and maybe that's giving you additional content, or I don't know what, it could even be skills drills or whatever. It depends on what the content is. So there's something there for sure.
You're getting Frankie's wheels turning. He's always constantly building and sending me stuff nonstop. He's like, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? But
we've already built the redeemable digital book to physical, so it's on the CARES website. But yeah, the idea is to kind of open that up into, membership, subscription style access to Drew, to us, right? Like, we love this idea of essentially being able to get that one-on-one experience through people who have supported. So I think a big part of even the Web2 convergence is that, right? It's making sure that the right people, the right projects are handholding those opportunities for them. And it's, kind of shining through with a lot of what we're trying to navigate with, the NBA, players, leagues that are interested, what we're doing in Greece, which we haven't even talked about.
Yeah,
Drew.
we'll talk about that in a sec. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and for me, like, that's kind of been, and I'll give a little bit of background. When I got into Web3, that was kind of the first thing I wanted to solve for, was even on the side of like early, day gamification, right? We launched 2 projects with OpenSea. One of them was a game in 2020. And the whole point of that was essentially, utility wasn't really there yet, but it was choice and consequence. Mint a thing, get a thing, follow the lore. Which also has a lot of appeal for, commercial partners that are looking to partner with us. Way less about the days of should I launch a project, and more about the days of should I collab with a project that makes sense for us, right? Which was kind of the pitch I had to Drew when Drew was kind of curious about what we were up to. It was a lot of the visual appeal of Nouns, right? And then it kind of crossed over into, wait, one day you're posting about a skate park, the next day you're talking about a school in Africa, right? So it makes sense to anybody who's curious, which is why we've fell in love with Nouns and tripled down on Nouns. Like, just the reverse problem of most projects is the IP is so beautiful, but we're almost too early in areas that might make sense for a traditional consumer, which is why we've also held so tightly onto Coinbase and Base, because they are already moving in a direction that, makes sense for us, but also at the same time, kind of crossing streams and blending access across what we do well and what they do well makes a lot of sense for people who are, maybe more actively building and not necessarily focusing on the creative or the execution or the application. So for us,
There's
like
a lot
even
of
with
former Coinbase and Base, Active Base, who are part of Nouns. So Jesse was very active for a while. He's been less active since he's gotten busier. Dan Romero has a Noun. Like, so there's a lot of a crossover there too, which makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. And you know, just following that path of like, and I keep saying this as like a joke to, you know, a lot of the corporate brands or partners who are like, so what's it going to take for us to get in the mix? Like nothing, we will handhold you because you being here is equally as good as us being here. Right. So, you know, the education we talk about constantly is really kind of a two-way street of, if you're doing good here, we're all doing good here. And like, even with Drew, it was like explaining nouns is really far-fetched to somebody who doesn't understand the kind of barter dichotomy, right? Like the barter system on chain is back in a big way. And like you said, Prof, like trust is the currency, right? Like being able to work with somebody and just putting it out into the world and hoping that the benefit is mutual when it comes back is kind of a great restart on everything we've experienced even through COVID. Like the kind of office out, you know, corporate kind of wobbliness like really does come back a lot stronger in our opinion with Web3. And we're seeing it in this administration, right? So it's interesting.
Yeah, it's very interesting. It's a very interesting time. And I think, and so I want to talk about a few different things. So I'm going to pop this up real quick. The CARES flywheel, bringing long-term value and partners into the DAO, and sort of what your thinking is here. It's kind of hard to read. But it's a little detailed, but but it's great. So talk about like what you're trying to do in terms of the work that you're doing with, you know, Coinbase and Nouns and like where that's going, but also then let's jump into what's going on with Greece. What are you doing with Greece? What's happening there?
Yeah, so I mean, essentially for CARES, and you've been there since the early days, what we've been trying to do is just putting a little bit of operational support behind the DAO, right? Like it's really important for us, for people who aren't, you know, copywriters or legal, you know, ease experts, like to kind of like lean on us to either guide the success of a campaign or help support the success of a campaign. So we kind of identified, even with Coinbase, there was a really good opportunity, specifically through Base, to kind of usher in either pre-existing Web 2 clients or, you know, Web 3 curious clients. And the timing obviously was great because everybody at the same time was like, oh, Bitcoin's up to 100K. Maybe we should start thinking about this.
Yeah.
So we got a lot of phone calls. But it really gave us an opportunity to pause and say, okay, if we're going to build this bridge, like Web 2 and Web 3 have to kind of meet in the middle. And, you know, Will's going to start on one side, I'm going to start on the other. So we kind of adopted a 15-year agency model. Will and I have had Problem Media for 15 years. We serviced everybody from American Express, Amazon, Discord, all the way up to, you know, brands like Nike and the Olympics. And a lot of the focus there was always, we're looking for boutique agencies to help us stay relevant. So the kind of mixed bag that happened, I guess, in our later 30s was we had politicians all the way up to, you know, sportswear brands, up to leagues and teams essentially calling us and saying, hey, like, we should be thinking about this, and we know you've been thinking about it. So how do we kind of activate? And my advice to everybody was like, buy a noun, and let's talk about, you know, how serious you are. Because if you trust me, you should understand how much I'm trusting this project, right? So the education was always there. You know, people like Drew, who are a little bit more willing to learn, you know, got it quick, and we just started to build.
Drew's been in Nounsel calls. Like that's
well, you know, the crazy thing is when we first started, I would do a lot of things, and he was like, "That's so nounish," which is funny because obviously you're handling stuff like that. And I was like, "What do you mean? Like, what is nounish?
What does that mean?" Yeah.
And then he started telling me, and then like when my book came out, like whether it's wearing the you know, the Noggles courtside, or there was one time where we had a big printout of, you know, we had this, you know, basically my book was Stop BSing Yourself. And so we had this big printout of a bull that was literally probably 5 foot tall. And I was walking through the airport with it, and it says big, it had a big, you know, the bull's holding a sign that says on chain. And I'm walking through the airport with it, and he's like, what are you doing walking? He's like, that is so nounish. And I was like, I didn't understand it, you know, and then he was like, funny. But then once I understood what nouns stood for, and, you know, how they were trying to bring value to the world, was so good. Yeah. So the TSA story is pretty funny, Frankie. So basically I have this huge, thing. And so she asked me, she goes, does that fold up? And I said, no. And she's like, well, you can't bring that on a plane. Like, it's way too big. It's not going to fit anywhere. Like, it's not going to fit up top. If you didn't check it, like, you can't bring it on. And I go, what do you mean? And she goes, well, what is it? And I go, obviously, I mean, look what it is. It's my emotional support animal. It's a bull. And she just started dying laughing, and it came off the top of my head. And she said, she goes, just for that, she goes, I got to obviously test it and make sure that it doesn't have anything on it that you're not allowed to bring on the plane. They test it. They go, okay, go have fun. And so then sure enough, I walked to the gate and the same exact thing. She goes, how did you even get that through TSA? I go, it's my emotional support animal. And she started laughing. She goes, that's good. That's good.
Oh my God. I didn't even know that happened. That's hilarious.
Yeah, we have a funny video. My girlfriend was dying laughing. She wasn't with me, but one of my videographer had taken a video on his phone and sent it to her, and she's like, "Only Drew."
That's hilarious. I can't believe you got it through. That's hilarious. So you do have a prop up right now. So I want to just share this really quick. And then I do have a couple more basketball questions for you.
Fire away.
Yeah, but I wanted to show what's going on with the prop. So you're looking at it's a base and nounish docuseries exploring the future of on-chain. So, which is really cool. Cut and build. So that sounds amazing. And if you want to just talk a little more about that, we're not going to watch a trailer, but you guys can check this out at nouns.wtf under this particular prop. So very cool. And then it kind of goes into more info about you. By the way, I love this picture. It's amazing.
You love the gold thing in the middle the most, right?
Love the gold thing in the middle the most. Made by somebody we know, actually. But yeah. And I love that. But also I love the fact that he's significantly taller. But I'm sure you're incredibly tall, so it just shows
there was the bull right there.
There's the bull. Yeah, yep. There's the bull. I love it. The bull wearing noggles, by the way. The bull is wearing noggles. So this was for a big event. This was this around the All-Star game that weekend?
Yeah,
or was
this was February 11th, yeah.
Yeah, so it was a week before All-Star. That was actually the first day of the book launch, which was really cool. We brought people in, and again, this is kind of what the prop is all about. We basically what I've done is I've run a series called Unseen Hours. Unseen Hours gets 1.2 million organic views on YouTube with no paid traffic, no brand sponsors, anything. And what it does is it normally just follows me around and basically pulls back the curtains and gives you access that you normally don't have access to your favorite NBA stars. And so, when we were talking, Frankie, Will, and I, he's like, hey, one of the things that you do a lot of, I do a ton of keynote speaking for, corporations and brands. And, I do a lot of coaching for entrepreneurs as well. And he's like, I'd love for you to expand that series, Unseen Hours, and pull back the curtains behind, entrepreneurs and behind some of the innovators that you connect with and some of the, the other people and some of the other things that you do. And so, and then I also want to use that to educate people that are, they might come for basketball or come for entrepreneurship or come for, their favorite people. But then in the process of that, they learn and they get educated about why Nouns is so good, why Web3 is so good. And they build that same trust that now I have. Like you said, being on the Nouns calls and stuff like that. If you would have asked me 5 years ago, hey, is there any chance that you would be, buying, a $10,000 piece of art that is an NFT? I'd be like, no, where am I going to put it? It's not going to be on my wall. I wouldn't have understood it, but yeah. Now I understand that it's not the piece of art that you're buying. It's buying into this, this do better, be better, help more kind of community that is ultimately, going to do a lot of amazing things, but also is going to go up in value. So over time, it's a win-win. You're helping people while winning yourself. And so that's really what the prop is all about. It's about, being able to connect with the people like Gary Vee, who's very Web3-ish, and he also is a huge basketball fan.
Huge. Yeah.
Being able to do that kind of stuff. It's being able to connect with some of my NBA athletes, being able to get in with them and seeing some of the hard work they put in and some of the things that they believe in. It's being able to, like you mentioned, Jesse, people like that, being able to go interview him and talk about why he's so passionate.
Yeah.
There's people like him that could easily retire and go live on a beach, but instead he's trying to positively impact the world through
bring a billion people on chain. That's what he's trying. That's the goal. Yeah.
So that's the goal the goal is to, it's one thing for me to just go out and take a deal from, Coinbase or something like that and just promote them. But that doesn't really convert people. The convert is going to happen when people are coming and supporting and learning about it and educating themselves and then saying, wow, okay, I do want to be a part of something that is bigger than, the constant rug pulls that we're hearing from so many influencers all over the internet. And so to be honest with you, that was the first thing that Frankie and I talked about was when he said, hey, I want to get you involved because you have an amazing story. You have unbelievable access. And he's like, and we can do a ton of good. The first thing I said is, just so you know, I am not doing anything that is coming anywhere close to a rug pull. And he started laughing. He goes, we're doing the opposite. We're trying to build for the long term. And there is no rug pull at all. So that's really what this is about. It's about building trust. It really is. It's about building trust. And, we got some cool things.
And education, just kind of what you're talking about. Like you got to educate. And just like Frankie was educating you, that's how you show like what we're really building rather than just what we're trying to extract, in a
fun way. Because if you ask a lot of, let's say NBA fans, if you say, hey, there's going to be an hour-long free webinar that educates you on Web3, they're not tuning in.
No.
But if you say, hey, come for Joel and Jason and all the other all-stars I work with, stay for this. And we intertwine it in a way that makes sense. There was an episode where I was actually doing a big charity give back. We did a fundraiser for my orphanage in Haiti. And, the docuseries followed me into St. Louis, where I'm from. And, we basically were showing NBA, but then we were also showing that. And it raised more money than we've ever raised for, my orphanage. And I was like, people would not have watched a YouTube video that was just about my orphanage. They would not have cared. But because they saw that I was super passionate about it, and we educated them that, basically there's 30 severely disabled kids that we take care of, including my little sister who we adopted and we've had forever. Her life expectancy was basically, they were like at 1 year. They were like, don't even go through the adoption process because she's not going to, live to that second birthday. And now here she is 18 years later, healthy. She's still nonverbal, but she can walk where they said she wasn't going to be able to walk. And I'm like, that's the power of love. That's the power of believing in something that's bigger than you. And so people saw that story and were so touched by it that people were constantly making donations. And I was like, if I wouldn't have intertwined the basketball, the cool, they wouldn't have stayed for the charity aspect of it. And so that's, the big thing that Frankie and I talked about, when we were building this. We were like, how do we get people to, that are eager to be a part of Web3 to understand that, hey, Nouns is like the Nikes, the Apples, the biggest companies for Web3. You can trust this company. You can trust this, community. You can trust, and then
Prof hates the word company.
I know. Don't say company. Don't say company. It's not a company. But also
those companies, this is like the community that is the same exact trust.
Yeah.
Exactly. And at the same time, like, I constantly say this: if you can't trust Nouns, who can you trust? Right? Like the 4 years, which is, again, like I know people were here much longer, but it's crazy to even see the inception of Nouns to where it is. But with all the ups and downs, like Nouns has always kept its promise. And that's the one thing I always lead with is like, you can say what you want about the state of things, but at the end of the day, Nouns has kept its word.
I will give one little warning. It's a permissionless DAO. There's always going to be challenges. There's always going to be people that have their own motivations. So, trust but verify kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because it's made up of people behind it. So it's always, but in terms of like the founders, the Nounders, the core, amazing. They're an amazing crew. I love some of these other images that are in this. Let me pull this up. In this proposal, they're so good. This is your noun, your new noun. You picked the saw head. Love it. We don't have a bull, so there you go. Or we could have gotten you a bull.
We
But
saw in the Cardinal. Don't forget the
saw-
St.
the
Louis
The thing that
Cardinal.
I liked about
The
it
Cardinal.
was Frankie
Yeah.
has sent over a couple of them. I'm from St. Louis, so I'm a St. Louis Cardinals fan. And so once I saw that, and we were kind of like, you know, the saw head was a little bit of a stretch because we were like, oh, you're trimming off the BS, like cut the BS, like
Yeah.
stop, you know, BSing. But the Cardinal was what drew me to it,
Is
and it's
what it-
actually
I love
it's
it.
actually pretty cool because I'm throwing out the first pitch at a Cardinals baseball game this year. They've asked me to do that,
Awesome.
and so Frankie and Will and I have actually been talking to the owner's team about doing something with nouns at that game, which would be really
That's
cool.
cool. So
yeah,
my cousin used to play for the Cardinals, Joe Mather,
Really?
years ago, probably
I was
10.
gonna say, that's probably before my time, you know, but
Yeah,
'cause
like 10-ish years ago, probably. I
Yeah.
think it was. Yeah.
that's awesome.
Yeah. So I do have a little connection to that. But there's also like a few other things I want to point out in here that are just really cool. Within this prop, you've also got love this. Cut out the old, building the bold. And then this is what got my attention too. So you're going to be working with Coinbase. We see all those connections happening within the NBA and Coinbase and other brands. So it makes sense. And then, so what is that connection? Is that going to be part of, like you mentioned, interviewing Jesse or folks like that? And so
Yeah.
what is going on with that collaboration?
Yeah, so the programming roadmap, a lot of even the process with onboarding and getting people to platforms like Base, Wallet, and even Farcaster, right? The big part of our system is making sure that we touch all those buckets. So whenever we think
And
about
by the way,
how
Farcaster is being built into Coinbase Wallet. So
was telling
that's
Drew.
happening soon. Yeah.
Yep, I was
Whenever
telling Drew
that
we had it.
new revamp of Coinbase Wallet happens, it will include a way to cast right from there. So
Yeah, big shout
very
out
cool.
to David So, who's been helping us. Yeah, I mean, for us, like it's a necessary part of what we want to do as far as distribution goes. Like we think about the future of Spotify, the future of iTunes, the future of Netflix, and seeing that live on chain. So with Drew, really putting the docu-series through that funnel is where Base steps in, right? We want to put all those mints on Base. We want to drive all that charity and all those donations through Base, but also make sure that Wallet is distributing all that. So working with David on that,
Cool.
he's been a massive help. And yeah, making sure that we are touching their offices, both San Francisco and New York, doing some content there, as well as getting folks like David, Jesse, and hopefully even Brian involved with a training day with Drew. I would love to see it.
Awesome. Love it.
Yeah.
And then can you talk, what exactly are you doing with Grace again?
Okay, so yeah, before Drew and I met on the work we're doing through his book, we were brought into a project that is being built out in the Athens airport. So the renovation is essentially wiping the abandoned airport in Athens and spinning up a smart city developed by this company, Lambda. Lambda is the largest European development. They're putting $10 billion into the project, which is the largest European development ever. And we're leading the build for the sports facility and retail. So around our property. So we have a giant gym facility. It's going to be on chain as well. Working with Base on that as well. Little alpha for anybody who hasn't seen it. Nouns is going to have a team on the league. So on the side of that, subscriptions, ticketing, rewards, all the way down to getting a coffee or a plush in your seat is going to be all on chain. So we're going to build that with Base as well.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, and there's a whole education layer. We have a school going up next door, so a lot of the kind of handholding that we also want to bring to Base is making sure that we're programming over there. What does a conference series look like? What does a Nouns workshop monthly look like? And also getting brands to underwrite that. A big mission with our prop and the future of how we spin up campaigns is getting brands and sponsors in to underwrite that business so the treasury can feel a little lighter on those programs.
I love this activation you did. This was at EdCon in, was it Singapore or Thailand? I can't remember.
Tokyo. There's me, 30 pounds heavier.
Yeah. Wow.
Yes.
Amazing. And this is when we finally got Noggles to Vitalik. So that was a big moment. But that was an incredible activation that you did there. And you can see some of that, some of the marketing, some of the, pieces of the build out. Very cool. As well
To do your
as,
billboards.
yeah, the billboards, amazing. So very cool. Love that. And so it'll be really interesting to see a build out of something like that large in Greece.
Yeah, this
That's
format will
incredible.
follow that. Yeah, so
Cool.
a little bit more of like kind of what we've been tasked to do outside of Coinbase and Base is we're also going to be focusing on the conference and event circuit pretty heavily this year and next year. So you'll see a lot of Cares independent events being activated with partners like VeeFriends and VaynerMedia and other partners in our universe. So having more of a presence just on the side of on-chain education will be a part of hopefully the Cares follow through. So that you saw in Tokyo.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Okay. We're getting to the end of our time. We've kind of gone a little over an hour. So I want to ask a couple other basketball-ish questions. So first of all, who's your favorite NBA team?
Listen, I know what you want to say. I would always say this. I always am neutral because I've always been a fan of players. Like even growing up, like people are like, "Who's your favorite team?" I was like, "Well, Michael Jordan's team." So I was like, "It was the Bulls growing up," and then now I'm like, all my clients' teams. So I would say that your Shamrock. There is definitely a lot of Game 5.
Okay.
I was there and on court and celebrating the championship. I was a huge Celtics fan. The only thing that's hard for me is when I have guys that play against each other.
Oh, that's going to be rough. Yeah.
Teams.
Yeah.
So as our Sixers fan knows, they've, Joel and Jason have met 3 times in the playoffs. You being a Celtics fan, you know how those turned out. You being a Sixers fan, you're probably more disappointed in how those turned out. But those are the games that are very hard for me. So I don't really have a team, but all the guys I work with are those teams are the teams that I end up.
I kind of expected that to be the answer.
Okay,
but I'm just
I
glad
will ask.
we were in there.
I'll ask a follow-up question. Why is basketball the best sport?
I can answer that.
What do you love?
Yeah, I can answer that one. Yeah, no, I think that basketball, in my opinion, is the best sport just because it obviously there's more scoring opportunities. So if you think about soccer, you think about something like hockey, they're very low scoring. You think about football, the amount of times they actually get in, a touchdown, or you think about how many times they kick a field goal, scoring opportunities are down. So there's so many more highlights. It's also very fast paced, which I think is especially in today's day and age where you don't want to have that downtime where you end up grabbing your phone instead of, paying attention to the game. And then I also think that one of the things that I actually love about it is I really do think there's so many, and this is true in all sports, but I think there's so many people in basketball that have used the game of basketball to, and to improve their world, improve their life, improve their family's life. And, that's one of the things that I'm so.
All you need is a pair of sneakers and a ball.
Yeah,
you'll find a hoop somewhere.
I love golf myself. I just started playing golf during COVID, but I realized there's a barrier to entry. You know what I mean? It's expensive.
Yeah.
Hockey is expensive. Baseball in a way you have to have a field and a bunch of people. I think basketball and soccer, and obviously soccer globally is a bigger sport, but it's because the barrier to entry is you just need a ball, and then a net or a rim, a hoop, and.
And you can makeshift a lot of that. Yeah.
I was going to say, I'm looking at my recycle bin here in my hotel and I'm going, I could easily turn that into a hoop real quick. So that's what I love most about it is I've always been drawn to the pace of play, the amount of scoring opportunities, and then just, how ball can change the world.
I always think when my son was, playing sports when he was young, I was like, can you just play basketball? It's inside. We live in Florida. It's like, it's inside. It's air conditioned. It's an hour. I got time for that. And played baseball for a while. And I'm like, I don't have time for this. And it's really hot. Can we not do this anymore?
I'm there. And again, I grew up playing everything. I just gravitated towards basketball just because it was something that I love to do, and I think that's a cool thing. Like Frankie, it'll be funny because I'll like name drop an MVP that I'm working with and he'll be like, so he's good at basketball? I'm like, well, he's the MVP, meaning like, and he's like, oh, he's like, and then he'll name somebody that's in the Web3 space. And I'll be like, I don't know who that is, but yeah, I guess.
And you have to go and you go, he's an MVP. It's Brian Armstrong. He's an MVP.
There were a couple people that like followed me on social media. He's like, bro, do you know who's following you? And I'm like, no, I have no idea. He's like, he literally runs like Coinbase, or he runs. And I'm like, oh, so I should follow him back. He's like, yes. Like, what are you doing? I'm like, okay, perfect. So,
by the way, Drew, we need to get you more active on Farcaster. Like, start dropping, if you're, whatever you're dropping on Twitter, it should be dropped on Farcaster too for now. And then we'll
Frankie and them
work
have had
you
me download.
Frankie
and them have had me download about 7 apps. So I'm trying to figure out, like, I'll be like randomly be like, all right, so this is like Twitter, right? And okay, this is like this, right? And so I'm getting the hang of things right now as far as being more active. And then, you know, I'm leaning on them.
We have an NBA channel as well. So people drop stuff in there. There's also March Madness is coming. It's going to be, you know, there's a lot of folks who'll be you know, chatting about that. So it's, you know, you can just jump into little combos and it's fun.
No, of course.
Also, that was my next question too. Any thoughts on March Madness? Do you got any favorites?
Well, my favorite just might have got eliminated. You know, the favorite was Duke. You know, I'm really good friends with John Shire, who's the head coach, and Chris Carrawell, who's the assistant head coach there. And you know, I've worked with a lot of their players at different camps. You know, Jason ran an elite camp last year, and he invited a couple of the Duke players down. But you know, their best player just got injured, you know, yesterday, unfortunately, and so we're waiting to see how bad his ankle is, but that will be my prediction if healthy.
If
just
healthy, okay.
They're so well coached, and I think that they're just, you know, when you have the best player, a great coach, and you have, you know, a great surrounding cast, I think that you have all the pieces to win it all. So that would be that's my choice with an asterisk on if you know if
healthy. Okay,
yep.
Fair. Adrian, before we let them go, any questions for either Drew or Frankie? I thought maybe you'd have if you have any other basketball related questions.
I would just like to hear Drew from Stop BSing Yourself.
Ooh.
If you can either give people like one snippet to take away, we're going to buy your book and read it. So we want to buy your book and everyone buy the book and read it. But if there's like either one element or like something from the book that you could share.
Yeah, I mean, I would say the first thing, the reason I wrote the book was really cool because for years I've always helped these athletes improve their game and make, you know, literally my contracts total right now is $5 billion, you know, for my players. And that's been awesome. But I've always used this system to improve their game that really identified kind of basically like audit their game, look at where their weak links are, where their strengths are, identify the one thing, narrow it down to one thing, work on that thing strategically until you build it up and master it, and then reevaluate and constantly try to, you know, do it. So I lay out that whole system. But the reason I wrote the book was because, you know, my dad, we were at Super Bowl. I took him to the Super Bowl where Tom Brady came back 28-3 and came back. And we're sitting at the 50-yard line. And you know, at the time, Gatorade was one of my partners. And, you know, we were in this room with the Manning family and all these people. And they gave us all Letterman jackets to, you know, that had Gatorade and had the Super Bowl stuff. And my dad, you know, put on a 2XL and could not button it up, couldn't zip it up. And he's 5'11" or 6 foot maybe, and he was 320 pounds, and he couldn't zip it up. And for years, I had been trying to get him healthy. And I had been trying to preach the importance of, you know, taking health seriously. He was a butcher, so he used to always joke around and say, you can't trust a skinny butcher. You know what I mean? So, like, that was his excuse of, like, you know, I want people to come in and say, oh, that guy knows
a chef. Yeah.
And so, but sure enough, you know, he was embarrassed by that moment. And so we got back home and we're in the driveway, you know, from the airport. And I remember being like, Pops, we need to talk. And I was like, listen, we lost your dad, my grandpa, a decade too soon because he did not take his health seriously enough. And you're going down that same path. And, you know, I had just read a study that now it's not a direct correlation, but on average, if you bunch everybody up, take away all the factors, which I know you can't do, but basically for every 5 pounds you're overweight, you lose 9 months of your life. And I started doing the math and I was like, we're losing my dad for 15 years. And so I told him that. And again, he didn't need more education. He needed something to touch him finally. And so what I did was I started, you know, picturing, I said, hey, Dad, you know how for the last 10 years you've went and celebrated your dad's birthday at his gravesite and you've had to not be able to give them hugs. And do you realize that when your mom wakes up every single day, she's not next to her soulmate because of the decisions and actions that, my grandpa and your dad made? Do you realize we're going to have to experience that same exact pain if you don't change? And the next day was the first day that he walked.
Wow.
And there's a part in the book that talks about, basically connecting instead of convincing. And then it gives you the blueprint, because I think that too many self-help books, what they do is they tell you all the right things, wake up at 4 a.m. and sauna and cold plunge and work out for an hour. And you're going, that's all sounds great, but like, I don't have time in my life. And so the first goal of the book is to basically audit all the BS that's going on in your world. The second goal of the book is to connect, deep enough with reasons that actually make you drive action. My dad did not care if he had a six-pack, but my dad does want to be there for his birthday and to be able to hug his grandkids and to be able to do all those things. And then the last thing is gives you a blueprint to finally make those changes that you want to make and break them down into simple enough actions that you actually take them. My dad's first question was, how am I going to lose all this weight? I said, just put on your shoes and walk. How far am I walking? Where do I walk? Just walk. If you're feeling good, keep walking. If you're feeling bad, turn around. Once you get in the habit of walking, then we can build on that. And so that's what my book tries to do, is it tries to, I say simplicity, in the book, make something really complex and make it simple, and that's what it really does, is it simplifies success so that people, regardless what they're after, can get it.
Wow. Love that. You got a lot of great comments. That was a great question, Adrian. And yeah, a lot of great points. This has been inspiring. So many good aspects of this. I feel like we've talked about like 5 different things, and each one of them could have been an hour chat. So amazing. Adrian, anything else before we wrap? That was a great question to end on, I think, though.
No, but are you working on anything else, Drew? Anything in the works?
Yeah, actually, I got a really cool. This is what inspired our little prop, because one of the cool things next, I'm taking all the GOATs in sports. So you talk about Michael Jordan, Tom Brady, Serena Williams, Simone Biles, Michael Phelps. You go down the list. I identified 14 of them, and the next book is going to be me interviewing those 14 athletes, studying their story, which I'm already doing, and I'm trying to identify the it factor that they have that goes from basically good to great to GOAT. Meaning, there's so many people that wish they had the know that these great athletes have. Meaning, there's a lot of people that want things, but they doubt that they can ever happen. Then there's some people that have worked really hard and they hope that their hard work pays off, but they're still there. That doubt remains. But then when you talk to these GOATs, they were so convinced, they believed that they deserved it. And I think that so many people would benefit, not only athletes, from the knowing. Think about how many parents want their kids to love them, or they think like, I think my kids, or I hope my kids love me. But like the knowing is just such a different level of strength. It's such a different level of belief. And so I'm trying to tap into these greats, and not only the athletes, but also the entrepreneurs of the world that just are a little bit different. They tick a little different. They have that it factor where, somehow they're going to figure it out. And I'm going to try to dive into that. And really, I'm just as curious as everyone else. I'm trying to figure out, how do you develop that inner confidence, inner swagger that removes doubt and insecurity to the point where you just know. And so that's what the next book is on. It's going to be a documentary and book side by side. Where we're really tapping into these people that have reached unbelievable levels of success through a different mindset than anybody's ever had.
Be good to compare with like the ones who should have been, right? Should have been as great.
No, it's crazy.
And they just like, what's the difference? What's the comparison?
There was a soccer player named Freddie Adu that was deemed like the next greatest soccer player ever, and was on all the greatest teams. It was on Sports Illustrated cover, 14-year-old prodigy. And him and he was, in all metrics, like they were like, he's going to be better than Messi. And then you have Messi, who's undersized and, not this physical stature that you would think of, and completely different career paths. And so much of it was here and here. I always say that there's like, in the book, there's a chapter on the deep games. And the deep games I'm talking about winning the battles in your head and your heart that you maybe don't even know you're playing. And so that's what I think these great athletes, entrepreneurs, even great parents, you think, I always think that great parents have this innate ability to just do whatever it takes to get it done, and whatever it needs. You can't just wake up and be like, all right, you know what? I'm not feeling good. 2-year-old, feed yourself today, dress yourself, change your own diaper. Like, it just doesn't work like that. And so great parents also are always showing up and doing whatever they need to do. And so I'm trying to figure out how people show up for themselves. And that's what the next book's about.
Love it. All right. So when you got that ready, we're here for you.
I
We'd
know.
love for you to
I'm
come back
excited.
for
I'm
sure.
excited to step in. I've already talked to a couple of those guys, and the stories have been incredible. But I'm excited to find a code, a system that works for all of them.
Yeah. That would be fantastic. Love this. All right. We got to end it there, Adrian. This has been awesome, though. What a crazy, this has been a crazy episode, but we've done a lot of things, but it's been amazing. And I thank you I actually messaged Frankie this morning. I'm like, we start just a smidge later because I'm going to have this thing that's going to happen at noon and it's going to totally mess us up. And so thank you for accommodating and coming just a smidge later. But this has been amazing. I have to go vote on the props. So if you are holding a noun or a little noun or wherever you do your nounish voting, please go give it a vote. I think it's amazing. I love what you're doing. I appreciate the effort that you guys have put in. And like Frankie just never gives up. Like there's something in that. There's something in that. You're doing awesome.
Drew's got to make me lose 30 pounds, but we'll get there.
I've just got a little inspired too. I need to get back to it. But this has been amazing. And with that, we'll be back Monday. Are we on regular time Monday? I can't even remember now.
Monday's a regular day.
Regular day. Okay. And then next week we have a couple other guests coming on. So we'll be chatting about that. And we'll share more about that later. And thank you for being here. We've loved having you here. Come back anytime. It's been amazing. Drew, thank you so much. And please, we want to see you casting. Get on Farcaster. We'd love to see you casting so we can shout you out.
Frankie and Will have been nudging me in all the right directions. So you'll definitely see me more active in all things, like this space. So it's fun.
I love it. All right. And with that, we're going to call it here, folks. Happy Friday. We will see you on the timeline and on Monday. And until then, bye-bye.